What's up Nerfers, and welcome to Silent Night 2, an international Nerf event like no other, this time held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Full disclosure up front, my trip was covered, all expenses paid by Sabre, who hosted the event. But now let's start from the beginning. On day one, I flew into KL from Adelaide and was met at the airport by Ernie from Sabre. From there, we headed to the Crystal Crown Hotel where Silent Night's attendees would be staying. Aside from some of the Malaysians who, can just drive to the events each day. I thought it was pretty cool how they had flags to represent every country as soon as you walk into the lobby, including Taiwan, which I was told is pretty difficult to get your hands on. Later in the evening, there'd be the opening ceremony and marksmanship competition. But until then, we had some time to kill. So Ernie took myself and the Taiwanese guests to grab some local food. We visited the Petronas Towers, which you might recognize from the 1999 movie Entrapment. And at a nearby mall, some of the players upgraded their footwear to something more suitable, and Ernie showed off his mosquito-proof jacket. Mosquitoes would end up being the least of our worries. There were other creepy crawlies in the jungle, but we'll get to that later. After our quick tour of the city, we headed back to the Crystal Crown where it was time to set up for the marksmanship comp. Players dialed in their blasters and practiced different sections of the course, and of course chowed down on the buffet in preparation for the imminent marksmanship comp. Up the front on a table, Sabre had on display their new 1 gram and 1.3 gram tournament darts. These were designed by the same factory who make Dart Zone and Hasbro's darts, and they're about a month away from finishing production. I used the 1.3s for all of the gameplay, and I'll have a video testing them not long after this one. I also received the blaster I'd be using for the event. A special one-of-a-kind chrome-plated Sabre Apex Prime with a 700mm barrel, 18kg spring, and a Sabre B car also chromed attached. A very shiny blaster overall. Also on display, they had a small rerun of M20s backed by a request of the locals, which they offered at half price. The prizes for winning the Marksman comp were also on display and were quite desirable. For third place, a set of Sabre Metal Harrier upgrades. For second, a Sabre B car. And for first place, the highly coveted Sabre Apex Prime Blaster. There were two categories of participants. You got Singaporean players and then you've got internationals. So there were actually 2 Apex Primes on offer. The course was a time trial and began when a player hit a yellow start button. They had to stop at a series of X's on the floor and hit a reactive target before moving on to the next one. And there were signs on the wall instructing the players on different poses they had to shoot from, such as standing, crouching, or for the final 2 targets, laying prone. Here's a video of Derek's full run. You might know him as Frontline Foam from the USA.
Right. I lost my JoJo. Right. Go.
With a recorded time of 39 seconds, Derek placed second in the international bracket. Some players were not quite as nimble as Derek, but I'm sure you all want to know who took home those 2 Apex Primes. Coming in first for Singapore was Shi En with a time of 30 seconds, and coming in first for the internationals was Terrence from Malaysia, who had a time of 31 seconds. With the prizes awarded, that wasn't quite the end of the evening. Sabre had a new blaster to announce. The Virtus, made in collaboration with designer Gears, is an upcoming fully metal 250 FPS flywheel blaster with a built-in B car, adjustable velocity, adjustable rate of fire, select fire modes, Talon compatibility, and a built-in ammo counter. It's shaped very much like a vector, hence the non-copyright infringing alternative V name of Virtus, and it should be available by the end of 2024. Finally, to end off the evening, teams for tomorrow's big game were drawn as a lucky dip, with 4 different colours of bandanas representing the 4 elements. My team, along with Derek, our leader Justin, and 11 others, called ourselves, of course, the Fire Nation. Teams were handed a folder detailing the first mission of Silent Night. It'd be a 14 versus 14 tournament style game mode, where we had to capture respawn points in order to be able to use them. And to come back alive, we had to have a teammate drag us to one of our held respawn points, but it wasn't allowed to be the one closest to where you died. The win conditions were to eliminate the entire enemy team so they couldn't respawn, or less likely, at the end of a 30-minute timer, whoever held the most territory. With that information, teams headed to bed because tomorrow would be a very big day. At 8 AM, we headed to Ali King Paintball Field, which had some friendly local wildlife, as well as some not so friendly. As a preventative measure to keep the leeches away, players duct taped their pants to their boots and smothered themselves in repellent, which actually worked a charm. Only one player reported leeches the whole trip, although he did have 5 of them eat their way inside his socks. The first round of gameplay was Team Water versus Team Air, so we got to sit from the sidelines and watch it play out. The game lasted around 5 minutes, with Water taking the win and making them gasp for air. Next up was us, the Fire Nation versus the Earth Kingdom. Something I haven't mentioned yet is there's also coins hidden around the play area. My team's strategy was to focus on gathering as many coins as possible while suppressing the enemy, because the coins would become very important later on in the day. Once you've looted some coins, you can't lose them again by dying, so we wanted to scoop up as many as we could before taking out the final enemy player.
Let's go!
Go, 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 go!
He's hit.
Hit.
Let's move up.
Move.
Watch out. Hit. Go. All right. Okay. Moving up.
Now raise your hand. Moving.
As I push up on the right here, I step on some slippery tree roots on quite a steep angle and take a dive. My GoPro also comes off my head in the process, and it takes me a couple of kills before I realize it's not on my head anymore. I also managed to capture the drum for our team off camera, but one of the hired professional photographers snapped this pic of me doing it.
Good job, red team.
Fire ended up scorching the earth, taking the win, and we collected a lot of coins in the process. Next to face off were the 2 losing teams, Air vs Earth, which saw Air erode away the Earth. Then it was Fire's turn to face Water. Just like in round 1, our plan was to mostly focus on coins, because once the enemy team's defeated, you aren't allowed to pick up any more of them.
Go! Hit. Drag me back. Thank you. Moving up. It's the next one up. Watch those barrels. He's dead, he's dead. Hit.
Water, being the natural enemy of fire, ended up defeating us, but we looted a treasure trove of the coins that round, so we're pretty pleased with the result overall. The second part of Silent Night was an attacker-defender asymmetric game mode where defenders had 20 balloons they could place anywhere they liked around the much larger, expanded entirety of the paintball park, stretching from the car park all the way through past the jungle field and staging area to the field we played on in round 1. As the winners, Water got to choose whether they'd be defending or attacking, and they chose to defend. Earth got to team up with Fire, and Air joined Water to make it 2 teams of 28 apiece. It's at this point we also got to spend our coins, and we won the bid on getting Jethro and Bro Bear to join our team as mercenaries. Our remaining coins were spent to unlock 4 medics for our team, plus a bunch of revived zip ties those medics could use to bring players other than themselves back to life. As attackers, we had to wait at the car park while defenders placed our objectives, their balloons, anywhere they liked on the field. We weren't allowed to know where they were, and we had to pop at least 11 out of 20 to win within a 2-hour time limit. As soon as the game began, we saw enemies down the road guarding the entrance to the staging area. So that's where we decided to attack. Myself, Derek and a few others decided to flank right and take the high ground within the cover of the jungle, allowing us to get some good shots on them and begin pushing them back.
Breach this. If there's cover, we breach this, someone could go to the motorcycles maybe. We're like down there. Spread out, move in. Spread out, move in. Where you shoot at, Bradley?
Enemy players.
Oh, I see him, I see him. We gotta go right.
I got about as far as the foliage allowed, then backtracked down to the road to continue pressing the assault.
One down.
Need a medic. I'm here. Medic on the way, medic on the way. On the ground, go prone. Can't shoot you through the leads. Behind you.
At this point, suddenly our opposition went quiet. Too quiet. The enemies had all retreated inside the paintball arena from round 1 to stage an ambush if we tried to enter.
Shooting through this?
I'll open this and you shoot him. You ready? You aim at him?
Where?
See him in the doorway? Aim at him. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, you go get him.
Got him in the hand, I think. Yep. Woo! Let's push in.
Tough fighting ensued at the door, and we were locked down thanks to their medics constantly reviving whoever we managed to kill. Rather than being bottlenecked forever at the front entrance, I decided to take a few guys to investigate whether there's another way in. Eventually, half our team followed me and were able to find small holes in the mesh fence to shoot through, just like the cannons on a ship. Meanwhile, I found an entire rear entrance that no one even noticed in the earlier games. I also found and destroyed 2 of the enemy team's balloons from here just by shooting them.
There's another one here. 2 balloons down.
Go, clear, go.
Killed the medic. Killed a medic. Medic's down.
Suppressing.
I'm going to a barrel.
Pushing on me! Pushing on me! Go!
Medic!
Cover!
With pressure from the front, sides and rear, the enemy defenders couldn't take our heat, and Fire Nation took the win. Destroying exactly 11 balloons by the end of the 2 hours, one less and it would have been a tie. By the way, half the defending team and presumably the other 9 balloons were hiding in the jungle field, which we walked past entirely back near the car park and didn't even notice it was there. With our combined team of Fire and Earth taking the win, it was time for Fire Nation to wage war on the Earth Kingdom once again, and that will determine an overall winner for the entire day. Players were drafted from water and air to fill the ranks in high school sports practice style. We pick one player, they pick one player until it was once again 28 versus 28. The final game mode was elimination. Players could only be revived by a medic applying a zip tie, and the zip ties were limited. The last team standing wins the day. Fire Nation got to start at the staging area this time, with the Earth Kingdom beginning in the car park. As the game began, I took the high ground and concealment of the jungle and shot down at Earth players on the road. With Sabre's new 1.3 gram T-darts, I also found it no problem at all to shoot through plants and foliage, which players did try to hide behind as cover. I solo killed a group of about 6 players through those bushes and pushed out onto the road to mop up whoever was left.
It's shiny, you can see through it.
One final alive Earth player took me out, but with all their medics down, they were living on borrowed time.
Medic!
And that's game! The Fire Nation takes a glorious victory at Silent Night 2024.
Game on!
We win, I think.
Game over! Great wins!
With that, we packed up our gear, patted the kiddies goodbye, and headed back to the hotel for a buffet dinner, thankful that we didn't end up covered in leeches. Each player from Fire Nation received a commemorative Warhogs Platoon coin, and one of Sabre's brand new Worker Talon Mag bumper sleeves. We took a group photo, and then Sabre had a special announcement to make. Calling the Taiwanese representatives up on stage, they passed the torch to them to organise Silent Night 25 in Taiwan, with the added proviso that it not be in a jungle for the 3rd time in a row. So I think we're getting more of an urban game next year. While we were here, Derek sold off his 3D printed MHP LMG flywheel blaster. It's shell ejecting and based on the look of an M249 light machine gun. Sabre also sold the one-of-a-kind chrome-plated Apex Prime that I use for all of the gameplay. That wraps up Silent Night 2024, but there is still a game to be played back in Singapore 2 days later with the wider Nerf scene as a whole. On day 3, we spent 4 hours driving from KL down to Singapore, crossed the border, and then Ernie took myself, the Taiwanese guests, Derek and his wife Susie, for some touristy stuff that night. We took the fully automated subway system to the Bay Area, grabbed a bite to eat at a massive outdoor food court. It was actually quite impressive how much variety there was here. After that, we went for what my fitness tracker said was a 12-kilometer walk around the bay, looking at the light displays, both permanent and temporary, and we even took a group photo with the Marina Bay Sands Casino Resort behind us. Then we actually walked all the way around to it and saw the cool light display they had inside where a whale swims up out of the water. That wraps up day 3, now on to day 4, which ends with the Nerf game. The same group of us went out for an egg and toast breakfast, where we had, I guess what you'd call a better version of soft-boiled eggs and soldiers, then hopped back on the subway again to Gardens by the Bay.
Brad forgot his ND filter, so enjoy the F-16.
The Cloud Garden was closed for maintenance, but we showed our Taiwanese and US friends the Flower Garden, which I visited last time.
Hey Ernie, my favorite Star Trek character is Luke Skywalker. He's taking a photograph of the dragon's ass.
Then we took a lift up to the top of one of the super trees, giving us a great view of the city in all directions. Something I didn't do last time. Fire Nation leader Justin showed up and we went down to meet him. He showed us a dinosaur. Then we ate some food from Derek's neck of the woods. We don't actually have Shake Shack in Australia. With our touring completed, it was time to head to ITE College Central. We got here 2 hours before the game so we could meet the campus Nerf club who were hosting the event. Nerf is treated like an extracurricular activity here, similar to any other sport. When we arrived, players were performing mostly unnecessary maintenance on their blasters. I basically never opened mine up back at home, but it's good to see they like to keep theirs in tip-top shape. Derek did have to reassemble his blasters though, because he had taken them apart for transport. Also, the velocity limit for the upcoming game was 300 feet per second, so players also chrono tested their blasters to make sure they're under. In the limited time we had for prep, Derek also decided to buy a brand new in-box Sabre Apex Prime and assemble it here and now in time for the game. With 30 minutes until the game started and an assembly that usually takes 1 to 2 hours, we decided to leave him there and headed out to the rooftop court where players had started to arrive. Now, this was an open invite event to anyone, not just members of ITE's Nerf Club. That means we got to meet some players you might even recognize, such as Piggy or Gavin Fuzzy. Justin also brought his partner along for our first ever game of Nerf. With the clock ticking down until the games begin, Frontline Foam actually managed to complete his Apex Prime assembly in world record shattering time. He did also use it for some of the games, before swapping to his sweetheart Storm. There were actually quite a lot of AEGs here, including Storms, Inverted Scales, and BK1s. For the game type itself, it was a King of the Hill style game with a basket and team-coloured cloth you place inside while throwing the opponent's one out. Each round, the teams were decided by everyone lining up in a straight line and counting the players out loud. Odds would be the red team, and evens were blue. I also joined in a few of the rounds myself, but being a night game, it was very challenging for my GoPro camera to see anything at all, so I mostly stuck to the sidelines recording other players in action. Finally, at the end of the evening, the guys from Bluebird Gel Blasters showed me their transparent XYL ARP9. They were shooting glow gels through a tracer unit, and for gel blasters to be allowed in SG, they need to have a very toy-like appearance. But any Australian companies who might want to get a clear ARP9 can contact XYL thanks to these guys. And with that, it pretty much wraps up my trip. The next day, Ernie and Conrad brought me to see the aquarium. Pretty neat compared to the Melbourne one, though it doesn't have penguins. And from there, I left on my flight home to Adelaide. While I did really enjoy Silent Night last year, I think this one was even better. So good job, Sabre, and all of the team who supported you behind the scenes. I look forward to Taiwan next year. I look forward to testing the new T-darts, which I brought home with me as well. And I also look forward to seeing how the Virtus Flywheel Blaster performs when that comes out later in the year. Finally, I'd like to thank Sabre for inviting me along to participate in and document their event with all expenses paid. Sabre also paid a couple of professional photographers to cover the event, so there'll be a couple of links down below if you want to look through those photos. That's all I have for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Here's 2 other videos you might enjoy, and as always, thank you very much for watching. See ya!